everyone, happy Tuesday. I hope you've all had a lovely bank holiday and relaxed in the sunshine and enjoyed, well, if you're in the event industry, having no events or weddings on Saturday over a bank holiday, which is very unusual. So today I'm going to be chatting with Nikki from Yorkshire Chauffeur Company, who I can see is watching now, so I'll get her to join in. And we're going to be chatting all about your vehicles for your weddings or events, chauffeurs, why you wouldn't have a taxi on your wedding day. You'd prefer to have a chauffeur-driven car. So I will get her to join and we can chat away. So let me just get her in. There we go. Be coming on quite soon. Are you there? Just waiting for Wi-Fi connection. There we go. Hi.
Hi, Lucy.
Are you okay?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good. I'm good, thank you. I know we spoke about half an hour ago, but we'll pretend.
Is my Wi-Fi okay?
Yeah, it seems fine at the moment. Yeah, I'm sure people will let us know watching if it cuts out or whatever. But yeah, I can hear you and see you, so that's a good start. Definitely. So, how did you have a good bank holiday? Was it all right?
Had a lovely week. Yeah, enjoyed the sun. Sat out in the garden for the majority of it. So it's a bit strange under lockdown, isn't it, at the moment, not being able to go anywhere.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? Although thanks, Harry. Harry said looks and sounds great. Woo, that's good. Yeah, it is strange, isn't it? It's strange not working on a Saturday, although secretly I'm having to say I do quite enjoying that, having Saturdays back. But yeah, it is really strange. I think I'm now slightly desperate to get back to work and doing a wedding, as I'm sure you are as well. You can get to a point where there's too much paperwork. I just want to get out there.
There's only so much you can sit in front of a computer for without actually being out on the ground.
Yeah, definitely, exactly. So, and have you managed to sort out all your postponements and everything for all your events? Because I know we're talking about weddings, but you don't just do weddings, so you do all the shoots and everything. I know that. So
yeah, so we offer everything from weddings to tours to shoots to airport transfers, and of course everything's just ground to a stop. So had another postponement this morning, which we've moved to July next year. So happy bride in that regards is the fact that we've managed to secure her vehicle again for next year. So the problem obviously we've got is vehicles change all the time. So as much as we promise to provide a vehicle in line with what they've already booked, but it could be a newer vehicle at the end of the day, depending on what happens. So we've managed to move all of our bookings so far. We're waiting for the next wave, depending on phase 3 of what's announced with the government.
Yeah. I'm the same. I've just got another kind of set of people. Kind of just deal with one lot, and then it's like the next lot, isn't it? So it's like, oh, it's never ending, but we're getting there. So, so do you want to just? Obviously, I know a lot of this information already, but for anybody watching, tell us how you started in the business, and how long you've been going for.
Okay, so the Yorkshire Chauffeur Company has been running since 2013 under a previous owner. I then got involved in 2016 and bought the company in 2017. So I've been running it and operating it solely since 2017, but behind the scenes since the year previous. So not only do I own it, but I'm also a private hire driver as well. So occasionally I do drive the weddings as well as the tours, airport transfers and everything else. So we're a very small team. It's myself and Paul who works for me. So if it's not me in the Range Rover, it's Paul. We specialise in 4x4s. That's what the beauty of our business is. So we have a 2019 Range Rover Sport Autobiography, top of the range currently, and that's due to be changed next May. We change our vehicles every 2 years. But the other side of the business is the vehicle concierge agency that I run, that I started when I took over the company. And that means that for the likes of wedding planners like yourself, and obviously we've worked very closely on numerous weddings, we're a one-stop shop. So I work with a hand-picked number of other suppliers and providers in vehicles, and I've worked with them from the start. I've been out and met them. They've got the same business ethos as myself, with regards to the customer service and the product that we offer. So I won't put an unknown on a wedding. These companies I work for represent the Yorkshire Chauffeur Company, even though they've got their own business as well. So we can offer anything from classic vintage Rolls Royce all the way up to 53, 57 seater coaches, executive coaches, and everything and anything in between.
I know challenge to find a car.
we haven't failed yet.
No.
So the beauty is it's one person of one point of contact, which for you as a wedding planner makes it so much easier.
It's an absolute dream just to absolutely just to say to you, right, here you go, this is what I need, and I know, like, when I'm sending it through to you, send you through exactly what we need. And even though it's great because you come back with different ideas, or you spot where I've missed a journey, because there's so many different transfers and journeys, and from the church, from home to church, and then and then you come back and go, well, what about the groom? I'm like, oh yeah, okay. This is what he needs, or this is what he wants, and it's great. And then you just source it and come back with everything. So I know it's brilliant when you do that. And so it's great that and also for a bride, even if they don't have a planner, to come to you, and even if they have different ideas, they want traditional kind of wedding cars, or actually the groom really wants, a Defender. Is it like we did last year, didn't we? We for, was it October? I think we did. Yeah. So and Defender, and then and those kind of things, you can arrange that. And then all the buses and mini buses and stuff, it's brilliant. It is like you are a one-stop amazing shop for all vehicles, which is fab. And like you said, it's under one umbrella, isn't it? So they deal with you, which is great. And then the added bonus is that sometimes they might get you driving.
I think it's also lovely the fact that you involved me with the brides. So, I'm willing to come along and take part in your meetings to discuss. And I know we had the big wedding last year that we done, and to have that personal contact with not only yourself but with the bride and groom just makes the wedding flow so much easier, because then we're all dotting I's and crossing T's, and we know exactly what we're then all working towards. So, and recently I had a wedding or a wedding inquiry where they just wanted the Range Rover, but when I mentioned guest service, transport and things like that, they actually came back, and we ended up booking for them 2 additional vehicles for their guests. So it's being able to see exactly what people are doing and having the insight in the industry, and what works and what doesn't work. If you've got a marquee wedding, is a vintage Rolls Royce going to get the marquee? End of evening as well. The best that the beauty with the Range Rover is we can get across the grass to the marquee, to be able to pick up from the marquee exit. So guests then can have the arch, like I know you do, and leave and see them off at the end of the evening, and the sparklers, and see them off at the end of the evening. So it just I know we've spoken about it a lot, where bride and grooms are having such a wonderful day, and at the end of the day they're thinking of leaving the most perfect wedding in a taxi.
Oh my God. But it's so true. It's the one thing they do generally forget. It's like when I'm going through all my checks with them, I say, right, so what's your last song? So equally, like the music's so important. They have so many entrances through the day, and arrivals, and kind of grand, applause and everything. And I said, what about the last song? Have you thought about it? And then they go, oh no, I haven't. And then they think about that. And then I will say, well, and how are you guys leaving? Where are you going to? And it might be like a beautiful hotel. It might just be back home. It might, in some cases, it is straight off to the airport. And and they've always just said, we'll get a taxi. And this is exactly what I say is, do you really want to get in a taxi where you don't know the taxi driver? You haven't maybe discussed it on the phone with them or anything. You haven't really thought about it. You're going to get in a taxi where maybe some drunkard has got in, a few hours before, stinking of fags and booze, and then, but you're going to get in that vehicle in your beautiful wedding attire to go off either to a lovely hotel or off to the airport. It's like, no, you honestly invest in having that chauffeur driven taxi or vehicle rather is so much better. But it's not until I mention it. So it's for all those who don't have a wedding planner, seriously think about it. As you know, it's that service, isn't it? And like you said, come straight to the marquee. It makes such a difference. And it makes my life easier as well, knowing that they're through that tunnel and they're off the sparkler tunnel, they're off into the vehicle. And it's just, and also the fact that I find the chauffeurs, they'll always wait. So, taxi, if you ring a taxi, mainline a kind of taxi company, they'll arrive and that if you're not there at exactly that time, they've got another fare to maybe go to, so they're off again, and they won't wait even though it's your wedding day. I've not experienced that in my business, but I've heard of it. So yeah, with the chauffeur with you guys, it's like, well, they'll wait until you're ready, won't they? Which is fab to have.
Yeah, and that's what we did. Same with the guest transport as well.
Yeah.
We've had numerous times where, we've had coaches put on for the guests at the end of the evening, maybe two or three minibuses, all going to different locations. And then a load of taxis then turn up. The taxis don't have a clue. They don't know who they're picking up, where they're going.
Yeah.
I've been on site before at an end of an evening, running the end of evening transport to make sure the guests are getting on the right buses to be able to get home at the end of the day, especially for the marquee weddings or the venues that are out off the beaten track a little bit. You're not going to be able to get the number of taxis required to get everyone moving at the end of the evening.
Yeah,
and that's the last thing you need, is a load of guests or the bride and groom not knowing that everyone's got home safe. So the end of evening service works really, really well, not only for the bride and groom, but also for the the bridal family and their guests at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely. And so couples don't have a planner then, because I know how involved we get in each wedding, do you then request like a point of contact within the bridal party? Because I know how much we chat on the day. You're like, go above and beyond, and just because you're like messaging me going, the bus there, is it okay? And to make sure, because gosh, if the transport falls down, it knock-on effect all the time is just enormous, isn't it? And it's never happened with you guys. It's always spot on. So if they don't have a plan checking in with you, do you ask for like a one of the bridal parties?
Yeah, so every wedding, regarding if it's got a planner or it's the bride and groom direct who book us, we always take an emergency contact on the day who isn't part of the main bridal party. So i.e. it's not the bride and groom or the mother or the father of the bride, normally like chief bridesmaid or usher. On the actual day, they have everybody's contact details, so all the drivers who are working for them that day, the bride and groom will have their contact numbers in advance. And then on the actual day itself, I'm a point of contact as well. I'm always available on my mobile, and if anything goes wrong or if they have any concerns, then they just pick the phone up and I'm at the end of the phone for every wedding. When we take wedding bookings, I generally get an idea of what the bride and groom are after. Some are just literally, I haven't got a clue, just give me some options. So we put together a portfolio for the bride and grooms.
Really good.
Which covers everything from the main bridal vehicle to bridesmaids to grooms to ushers, and then guest transport. And each portfolio has a description and a photo of the vehicle itself, both exterior and interior.
Yeah.
And then they can make their decision from that. If they want to view the property and the vehicle in advance, they can, and that's not a problem. That's something that I can arrange. And then once the booking's made, it generally goes quiet for a little while, obviously, because we get booked way in advance.
Yeah.
And then 10 days before the wedding, we have a consult again, just to run through all the details, check all the addresses, all the postcodes, the timing.
Yeah,
because they can change. And then what I do is then I send a formal final confirmation, and on that confirmation has got the vehicle registrations of all the vehicles, the driver contact number, and the driver's name.
Yeah.
And my contact details. And then not only does the bride and groom get a copy of that, but all the people who are working on the wedding will get a copy of that also. So
yeah.
Everybody's then singing from the same piece of paper. And you know, and I ask them to double check it before I then send it onto the people who are actually working on the wedding.
Yeah.
And then on the day, the drivers who actually work it then feed back to me once they've dropped a venue. They'll then let me know that they're stood down, so I can then go for a little bit until the end of evening service then kicks back in. And then again, you know, the coach drivers or, you know, whoever's working the end of evening, let me know that they're in place, ready to go. And obviously, if I'm working with yourself or on any other wedding planner, I then just drop you a message to say your transport's in place, ready to go when you are.
Yeah, which is brilliant.
And then at the end of the evening, once that's all done and everybody's then dropped off, all the drivers then just check in with me. They just drop me a message to let me know that all the guests and everybody's transferred safely and they're on their way home. And then that's when I go to bed.
Yeah. Oh, I know. It's like a long night, but I know you wouldn't rest until you had heard from them, because it's your business, and I know you're so passionate about it. And if I'm honest, when I started planning, it used to be you had to go to so many different companies to get your vehicles, and it was you'd have so many different contact people, and quite often the person you spoke to on the phone was not the driver, was not the person really dealing with the inquiry until a lot nearer the time. You were not passed between people, but it wasn't as smooth and as efficient as I've ever experienced with you, because well, no, it's so true though, and it's just it's just so easy. And I know if I just said to you, right, this groom wants this car, or this bride's father really wants her to have this car, you will find it and make it work. And I know even your drivers and yourself have gone and done recce's of the routes just to check, and it's all the things people don't think about. It's not just a vehicle turning up on the day, is it? There's all the kind of, are there any roadworks? I know when it was like Tour de Yorkshire, my God,
which was a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah, several weddings through that. But then but that's the thing, then you're taking away that stress from the couple. You're just dealing with it, sorting out the reroutes and then the journey and what time we need to leave to get to the reception from the church and all of that. You just sort it all out. So it's just like the most stress-free kind of, chauffeur, just let you do it, and then it's brilliant. And then obviously there's all the kind of maintenance of the cars and making sure they're always immaculate and polished, and like I said, the guys driving always brilliant, and arrive way early so that they're always on time and they've planned all the routes and everything. So it's a brilliant service, rather than just because I know a lot of couples will just go onto Google and start searching for cars and stuff, and there are loads of companies out there, but again, it might not be it might not be their cars, it might not be managed so well, and you just don't know. So yeah, it's always been brilliant when I've worked with you.
I mean, all the vehicles are always fully validated to the highest standard before they leave, are ready to set off on the journey. And then what we do is we park up just around the corner and we do the final wipe down of the vehicle to make sure there's no bug splats and so the vehicle looks absolutely pristine. And that's when we put the ribbons on and the bows and everything. The ribbons and bows are totally the choice of the bride and groom. They don't have to go with white or ivory. We'll supply any colour to match any colour scheme. And then once we're there, obviously we'll just go and knock on the door and let people know that we are ready whenever they are ready. There's no pressure from us to say, right, you booked us at 1:45, you've got to leave at 1:45. You know, the only thing we do say is, and one thing that has come to light quite recently, actually, on a recent booking that we've taken, is not if people aren't having a church ceremony, they often forget that they actually have to meet the registrar 15 minutes before the ceremony actually takes place. So, and that's one thing I mentioned. I always ask, is it a church ceremony or is it a civil ceremony? Because it's factoring in that extra time to allow, you know, the groom has to be there at least half an hour before to meet with the registrar, and the bride has to be there 15 minutes before to meet with the registrar, so everybody's in place and ready to walk down the aisle on time. And that's one thing a bride actually turned around to me, she went, oh, we've never been told that. So she said, oh, I'm really glad that, you know, we found you and we've booked you. And it's also about getting the guests there in plenty of time, so the guests aren't then turning up as the main bridal car turns up.
Well, it is exactly, it's the same as my kind of job. It's all down to timings and ensuring that, yes, everyone is there on the right. So there's a lot of pressure, but it's something, you know, but booking a professional to that, you know what you're doing, you're checking all those different variables such as roadworks and route changes and weather impacts, you know, whether it's wet weather and all of that, and I assume then you guys would have umbrellas and stuff in the car as well.
We always carry umbrellas, and the other thing, we provide are wheel covers as well. So the worst thing is, you know, a bride getting out of the car in an absolutely stunning gown, and obviously the car is going to get dirty on the road traveling. Even on a dry day it can get dusty. So we cover the wheel for the bride for when she gets out, so there's no chance that the dress will brush against a dirty tire or a dirty wheel cover or anything. So the wheels are all covered as well when they get out. And even though even in the Range Rover, even though they automatically lower, it can be still quite a drop down because it's a tall vehicle. Especially if you're like me and slightly vertically challenged, even in heels, it's still quite a way down. So we provide steps as well, a little step just to aid getting in and out of the vehicle.
Elegant getting out or in the car, don't you? So, but the details, you see, people wouldn't think about, but you do. You know, it's like when I first saw the wheel arch, the wheel cover, I was like, what's that for? And then realised, and I went, oh my God, and I hadn't seen anyone else do that. And it's just, for anyone watching, it's literally just a piece of cloth, but it's specifically to go over the wheel, so you just look, like you just said, your dress doesn't brush against it and get any dirt on it. And it's just, those little details make such a difference but the couples wouldn't know about it really until they're there. So that makes the difference. And cleaning the car before you know, way before and then just before they arrive, and getting bugs off the windows, and it is so important. So
even while we're parked up at the church, you know, waiting while the ceremony is going on, the cars are then wiped down again. So, you know, every single step of the way they are absolutely pristine and ready to go, and waiting for them to come out. And I know, you know, we will always listen as to what's happening with regards to how far the ceremony is getting on, and then we're fully in place and ready to go when the bride and groom and everybody else is then ready to go at the end of the ceremony. So it is about just attention to detail, not only on the day but on the lead up to it as well, and having regular contact and letting bride and grooms know that, you know, I am accessible virtually 24/7 a day. I know me and you often exchange emails at midnight, and you know, so it's just having that peace of mind that we're not a 9-to-5 business. You know, we are always on hand, whether it be by text message or by phone call or by email. You know, it is just letting them know that don't hesitate to contact us at any time, and if we're available, you know, then I answer.
So if people wanted, if they kind of said as well, you know, usually they're planning like a year in advance or something. If they said, right, okay, you know, I want to find this car, and then you book it and everything, and then along the lines they change their mind. That's all still happy to do as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so what we do, I mean, obviously, as much as possible, we get the right car from the beginning.
Yeah.
The ones that we do find change quite a lot is the guest transfers, because
Yeah.
numbers can go up or down.
Yeah.
So if they've got to say 150 guests, I always say aim for transport of 100, because 50 will always make their own way or make their own arrangements. But then what we can do is we can reserve the vehicles for them that we think will suit the job in hand. But if numbers go down or if numbers go up, we can then either reduce or increase the vehicle size or the vehicle we use. So the beauty is we can use anything from a 16, as I say, right up to a 57-seater. They're all at relative level. So we can mix and match as to what vehicles we use, really. And I know we've done that numerous times.
That's definitely one of the questions my couples, I suppose, are kind of like, you know, debating when it's guest transport. And I do always advise that people should, if they can get it in their budget, put on the transport, because it does make it easier for everyone to arrive. Say they were being picked up from 2 locations, you know, near to us in Harrogate, taken to the church, and then the coaches wait, or vintage buses or whatever, and then take them off to the reception. It means everybody arrives at once and to the church and to reception. But I think brides and grooms' worry is that, well, they've sent out 150 invites, but they don't know who wants it. And it's always that question, do we put a tick box? Yes, put a tick box to say, do you require transport? So that's the worry, that they book it and then they end up with, you know, 2 people on a 57-seater or something. So is that how they get around it? They just can't, you gauge it on like about roughly 100 people for, you know, and hope.
Depending on the size of the wedding. You know, if they've got 150 guests, sorry about that, I put do not disturb on.
Oh, you've pulled.
For some reason it still came through. So yeah, I mean, not including the main bridal party, we do factor in a number of people who are saying that they're not going to reply. What we tend to do is the week before the wedding, that's when we absolutely lock in the size of the vehicles that we need at that point, because other than that, you know, the vehicles are then allocated and the drivers are allocated and everything else. So yes, there may be occasions where there's going to be some free seats, but then what we've also found is people haven't replied to the transport element and turned up expecting there to be transport. So it's always worth having a few extra seats available,
definitely,
just to ensure that everybody has then got a seat. Obviously they can't stand, it has to be seated. So, you know, it may be a case of that we may have, say, for instance, 2 57-seaters booked, but when the returns come back, we realise that we don't actually need that many, so we could drop it to a 57 and a 35, and then that way, you know, we can then adjust everything accordingly.
Not paying as much then and things. So then it's kind of, is it advisable then to book the absolute maximum people, and then they can lower it nearer the time? Because there shouldn't be a cost impact, because is that right? So that they haven't, they're changing it maybe to a lower seat or something. So they're not like paying full whack at the beginning for everything. Because I think that's the main issue people have, is like, right, if I book all of that, am I paying for it all and then I don't need it?
I mean, again, you know, we can either downscale or we can upscale. So, you know, we've had instances in the past where more guests have wanted transport than was originally booked, and we managed to add on an additional vehicle. So, you know, we will always try and accommodate with regards to number changes as much as we can. Obviously it depends on the season as well, how much use and how many other bookings are in, it depending on, you know, on what we can offer. But you know, the way I look at it is if we book in what we feel would be the maximum, it's far easier to downsize than it is to go up.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so true. Definitely. So what do you think? I know you said you don't know the answer. I was thinking about this. My question was, what's your biggest challenge in the business? So maybe it's to do with logistics then, because if you've got, say, you know, 3 weddings on or something, and you've got all, you know, all the different logistics. I know you can cope with all of that, and you know exactly where everyone's going and who's doing what, because you're so meticulous in all your details. But so maybe that's the biggest challenge, of just making sure the logistics and the pressure of, you know, things that are thrown at you, like the weather or roadworks and stuff. Do you think that would be your biggest challenge with the business, maybe?
Yeah, most probably. I guess I think in a lot of ways I take it in my stride. So,
Yeah.
and it is about being so organised.
Yeah.
You know, as you know, leading up to a wedding, you know, I send you a complete list of everything, from
Yeah.
pick up times to drop off times to names to telephone numbers. So it's about ticking off everything to make
Yeah.
sure that everything's in order, and as much as it can be. Obviously on the day there may be something completely thrown at us that you can't just plan for every single eventuality. And it's about having the knowledge on the ground. As you say, you know, we always prep the routes so we know what way we're going to be going.
Yeah.
And also factor in, you know, time as well, for depending on the time of the wedding. You know, if you're going to get married at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, then traffic's going to be heavier. So it's about, you know, just factoring in the little bits that can make a big difference at the end of the day. Often on Saturday or whenever the weddings are, I go out and, you know, even if I'm not at my desk, with me is a booking sheet for every single wedding that I do, or every booking that I've got on that day. Same information you've got, so I can contact anybody. It doesn't matter where I am. I've got the ability to contact everybody. And then I also have the backup as well of the people who are working on behalf of the Yorkshire Chauffeur Company, who are managing their drivers. So if I can't get in touch with the driver, I can get in touch with them. So it's about, you know, you've got the backup in me, but I've got the backup as well with regards to the people who are working on our behalf.
Yeah, that's good. Fab. And so what's the kind of typical week in the, like when you've got, say, weddings on the Saturday, are you just generally checking everything's in place, kind of, you know, pretty much in the office, just making sure like all the vehicles are fine and all the timings are still the same, and then like just building up to kind of contacting the bridal party, the actual bridesmaid? Is that kind of what you're doing the week of?
Yeah, so the week leading up, so the week before, as I say, I'll have a chat with either the wedding planner or with the bride and groom, just to run through all the details and check that everything that I've been given is correct. You know, especially where there's more than one church in a little village, things like that. You know, I often get sent, oh, it's the church in such and such village, and it turns out that there's 2 churches in that particular village. So it's just making sure that all the details I've got are correct before I then pass them on. Once they're all verified and all double checked, as I say, the bride and groom will get a copy, and I ask them to pass that on to their contact on the day, and that they've got my contact number on the day. And then the same goes to whoever's working the wedding for us, whether it be the Range Rover or an 8-seater, or you know, so. And I have a chat with the drivers to make sure that they're happy with everything they've got, that they've got the right colour ribbon, that they've got the right bows, and everything's matching, especially if we've got a multi-vehicle wedding. You know, we want to be able to make sure that everything matches the same and everything is working the same. So, and that's why I'm very, you know, I only work with a very small handful of people. And that is because we both work the same way, and we all work the same way. And you know, so it's about the relationships that I have with them, to be able to maintain them, to be able to know that if they're out there working on behalf of the Yorkshire Chauffeur Company, they're not only working for themselves, but they're working and representing who we are.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely. It's got to be that high standard, as I know you deliver, definitely. So what I thought of a question and I was forgot what it was. Yeah, what kind of so obviously you said it's mainly 4x4s, but have you ever been asked to get any particular car? Like, oh gosh, right, okay, that's a challenge. What's, you know, what was the kind of most unusual car, I suppose, that somebody's asked for, or is there anything unusual anyone this year's?
It's more down to the specifics of each vehicle that they're after. I
Right.
know, you know, we had one particular bride that we worked with together.
Yeah.
The main bridal car wasn't to have blacked out windows.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't to have privacy glass,
Yeah.
whereas some brides like the privacy glass, so it's the element of surprise. But you know,
Yeah.
so it's finding the right vehicles. Not everybody wants the traditional wedding car.
Yeah.
A lot of people now are wanting something a little bit different that
Yeah.
isn't, you know, just something that maybe I would have had when, you know, when I
Yeah.
got married. So it is about finding and working to the brief,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
And then being able to source it. As I say, at the moment, and as it stands, I haven't not been able to find
Yeah.
what the bride wants. But
No.
equally, I won't use a supplier or use a vehicle that I haven't worked with before. So
Yeah.
it's not a case of the bride wanting a specific vehicle and I just go and find it and just put it with anybody. It's about
Yeah.
having the right people on the job and the right
Yeah.
vehicles on the job.
Yeah.
So I know that that vehicle is going to turn up how I would want it to be,
Yeah.
as if it was one of my own vehicles turning up.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I do only work with a
Yeah.
small handful
Yeah. That's
to be able to provide that service.
yeah, good to know then, because otherwise, I suppose it could be the brides just going on Google, you know, then and just finding anybody. So they're using you because it's trusted. They know, they know everything is going to be of the highest standard, which is great. And not only the vehicles, but the level of customer service as well, and the kind of contact and everything. And it's nice, isn't it, to build up a relationship with your couples, and just to get to know them and discuss what they want, even for transport. Because like I keep saying, it's so important. Because if that anything happens, it's like, you know, you've got the backup of knowing whether to just ring you, whoever's that point of contact. And me as a planner be ringing you going, right, this has happened, and I just know it would be sorted out straight away, rather than someone you found on the internet and they might not work on them, you know, it might be a driver they've sent, but the point of contact person might not work on a weekend. I have known of that. And you're like, well, oh God, it's your car, it's your business. But they're like, no, I hand it over to the chauffeur and that's it. And all the, you know, the guy who's been hired to drive it. So yeah, it's all about the customer service as well. So is there anything you want to say to anyone watching about, because I assume then obviously you're still contactable at the moment,
We're still up and running.
Yeah, they can still.
We're still up and running. So obviously, with weddings not happening at the moment,
Yeah.
as I say, unfortunately, unfortunately, I'm dealing with a lot of postponements, but I'm also taking a lot of new bookings as well for 21 and 22, where obviously I think a lot of people, a lot of brides who maybe are thinking, oh well, we'll leave it, and then because they're realising the majority of the weddings from this year are going to be postponed and moved back. It's kind of spurred them on a little bit to get organised, maybe a bit earlier than they'd planned. So at the moment we're I'm still working on dealing with inquiries, but you know, also, as I say, we're not just especially with weddings, we do all aspects of chauffeur work. So you know, if you are jetting off on a holiday, she says, kind of tongue in cheek, because obviously we still don't know what's happening within that industry. Or even if it's a special occasion and you've got family members celebrating a golden wedding anniversary or something, you know, we're offering tours of Yorkshire and throughout the UK as well. So you know, that's also something that, you know, we specialise in with regards to being able to design and provide tours throughout for clients. The other thing that we offer is a vehicle driver only service. So if you're looking and you want to utilize your own vehicle but don't want to drive yourself, then we will provide a driver for you.
Yeah, that's good.
So we've got a number of aspects of you know, the business that we're in, from airport transfers to tours to, you know, going to a nice restaurant when they open, you know, So
Nice.
it's about having the whole service.
Yeah.
And then what we do find with brides and grooms, they often come back to us for their first wedding anniversary as well, and they want to go somewhere nice for a meal.
Yeah.
And you know what we offer, especially on the Range Rover, is for bride and grooms that we work their weddings for, we will offer a special occasion voucher for them.
Okay.
Which will offer them a 10% discount if they want to use us on their first wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
So it's valid for the year, and it just means then if they want to go out and celebrate their special first wedding anniversary, then we would be happy to take them to their restaurant and then pick them up at the end of the evening.
Yeah, that's brilliant, because it's often something, you just think, oh, well, I'll get in the taxi, and then, but actually to have a chauffeur, it just feels like it's a proper celebration, and neither of you having to shell out, well, for like a taxi that's just gonna, like I said, pick you up and then not wait for you, or you have to rush at the end of the evening to think, oh, I've got a lovely chauffeur. It's just that added kind of nice gesture at the end of the night, isn't it? And I get home and in a lovely chauffeur driven car, as opposed to a standard taxi. Standard taxis are fine, by the way, but
yeah, I'm not dissing my counterparts in the private hire industry.
Yeah.
But we all have our place within the industry. It's about, if it's a special occasion, start the evening and end the evening how you'd like to carry on, really.
Yeah.
And we won't stand outside tapping our watches going, well, you booked us 5 minutes ago, so if you're not here now, then we're off. We will wait. And again, it's the personal touch.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, exactly. That's what you need. Yeah. Fab. So so everyone can get in contact with you, which is great.
Yeah, so everyone can get in contact with us. I mean, one thing we're doing at the moment is making sure that the vehicles are all fully sanitised and COVID-free as much as we can. So
what was the thing I was saying earlier about? I think I saw. Is it what's it called? I don't know what it's called. Where you
fogging machine.
Oh,
so. So we've got a machine that's actually just sat in the corner of my office at the moment, that will basically fog the machine, so it fills the vehicle with a sanitizer, so it reaches every single nook and cranny. But then on top of that, we're also spot disinfecting as well. So we are doing all the handles, the seats, absolutely everything. We're also offering any clients that currently want to book us in this current climate full PPE. So the on hand will be gloves and masks should the client want it, and also hand sanitizer and hand wipes and things like that.
Yeah.
So we're trying to work obviously within the government guidelines. So therefore it's generally one person in the car to absolute maximum, and they are to sit obviously as further distance away from the driver as possible. It's still obviously a lot safer than public transport. So for corporates and things like that, it's also worth bearing in mind the fact that if they don't want to use public transport, we are still fully operational as a chauffeur company if they require the service.
Good. Oh, that's good to know. Fab. Right, I'll be ringing you. Oh, well, thank you so much for chatting to me.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, no problem. Well, I hope everyone watching learned something anyway, and enjoyed listening to us chatting away. So yeah, thank you, and I shall speak to you very soon, I'm sure.
All right, so take care.
Bye.
Bye.